KFDI, good morning.
Yeah, this is JJ.
Yes, it is.
Hey, what's up, man? This is Jason Aldean.
Jason Aldean, thank you so much for calling. It's our first time chatting in all the years I've been in Wichita, so I've been really looking forward to this.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, cool. I appreciate it, man.
All right, let's get down to business. You're coming to town on the 29th, Intrust Bank Arena, Rock and Roll Cowboy Tour. Chase Rice, John Morgan, DJ Silver. 2 days before Halloween, Jason. You got a favorite costume from when you were a kid that comes to mind? Like you were so stoked to be what when you were out trick-or-treating?
I think when I was a kid, man, it was I was kind of into Star Wars. I think I went as a stormtrooper one year or something. So anytime I got to do any Star Wars stuff, I was pretty stoked.
Was it one of those old plastic, costumes where you can still smell them when you see the
yeah.
picture? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it had the one rubber band that went around the head.
Yeah.
The mask was plastic. Oh,
God,
100%.
I don't know what chemical they were using for those, but we all remember that smell. Read a great story this morning, Jason, about George Burge and the song Mind on You, most added song in country radio this week. He pitched that song to you originally, and the story goes, you put it on hold, you were going to record it, and then he took it back. And George has done nothing but sing your praises about you and your team for the kindness you showed in that moment of giving that song back. What made you decide to give it back?
Well, I think a lot of times when we hear, I think different things happen. I mean, I think songwriters write songs, and sometimes, artists are trying to get record deals and writing songs and trying to get some songs cut just to kind of get their foot in the door and whatever. And I think if I remember right, what happened with that is he had pitched that to us, and we put it on hold, and then I think he had the opportunity to sign his deal or something, or cut it as an artist. And and I feel like if somebody writes that song and as an artist and they want to cut that song, then they should have the first right to cut that. And so to me, it was kind of a no-brainer of like, hey, this guy, I like the song, but this guy wrote it and wants to cut it. This is his song to do that. And so I think at that point we just kind of like turned it back over to him and let him do his thing with it.
It was where it was meant to be, and really that kind of grace you showed him is important too. When artists established, such as yourself, show some sort of mentorship towards those who are trying to come up in the business, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important. I had guys like that I was on tour with and things that that kind of did that for me. McGraw and Rascal Flatts, some of those guys when I was coming up, and so I think it's just everybody kind of does things different, but for me, I kind of felt like that was the right thing to do in that particular case. And like I said, I mean, when you as an artist, when you put a song on hold, it means it's your song. Nobody else can have it or mess with it until you record it. And I just felt like with this situation, it was a little different. The fact that he had written it and wanted to cut it as an artist, I just felt like it was, it was his song, and he should be able to do that.
All right, good stuff. Well, let's get back to you. Rock and Roll Cowboy Tour, showcasing a lot of the songs, obviously, from your double album, Macon, Georgia. You working on anything new? You got a new album on the way? You kind of just taking a break and letting Macon, Georgia marinate for a little while longer?
We've been kind of just getting our songs stockpiled right now, so we're just kind of getting songs put together. I would imagine the main focus right now is us really just finishing the tour out, which we got one more weekend, which is the weekend we're out to see you guys, and then that kind of wraps the tour. So I feel like we'll probably go in the studio sometime in January and probably start recording a little bit for the next record, and kind of getting the process rolling. But to me, I always wait until I feel like we got 6 or 8 songs that I'm really excited about to go in and cut, and then we'll go in and kind of get it started. And we're getting close now, so I feel like January is probably our target.
Nice. All right, so the tour ends. That gives you a couple months toward the end of the year to what? Just kind of hang out and work through the holidays? You got any trips planned?
Well, usually what I try to do is I usually try to make sure that we're done touring by Halloween. That's usually our cutoff point, so that all my guys can be home with their families for Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all those holidays at the end of the year. And so it's also hunting season for me.
Yes, sir.
Get a chance to do some hunting, and it's just kind of the way I've always done it, and it's always worked out really well for us. So so Halloween's typically the cutoff, and we take a few months off, and gives me a chance to go in the studio, work on a new album, or just kind of some stuff like that I need to do in Nashville.
Right.
and then just kind of plan, what we're going to do for next year's tour, and that usually will kick off sometime in the early part of the summer, and that'll set the tone for next year.
Gotcha, for sure. All right. Well, when someone achieves the kind of success you've achieved over the years, they look back on what they call the lean years. Can you look back on the lean years and think of a gig or two that was just the strangest moment in your life? You're like looking at that gig going, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, there's been a few of those, actually. I was actually in Birmingham, Alabama in the early days, and it was back when things were done a little different than they are now.
Sure.
But used to, you'd go around to the radio stations and you'd do a show or whatever. If you were a new artist, had a new song, you were trying to get radio to add the song. And so we had this guy in Birmingham that wanted us to play at this private airport, and it was early. It was like, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. So we get there to play the show and to try and, get our song added at the station, and drove down from Nashville and get there, and there was literally nobody there. Oh. So we ended up playing the show, playing the show for, the guys fueling up the planes, and there was nobody at this thing. So that was one that's kind of probably the worst one that I've ever done. And but there's been a few that were a little, right, ones that I'd like to forget, I guess you could say.
Sure. I get that. November 5th, going to be here before you know it. Volunteers Bulldogs. You and Morgan Wallen going to get some side action on this. You're going to do a bet, and if so, is it going to be a real creative bet or just straight up money or booze?
I don't know. I need to talk to Morgan about that. Tennessee all of a sudden is scaring me a little bit now after playing Alabama this weekend. So right, we'll see. I mean, that's going to be that game just got a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. But I got quite a few Tennessee friends. We may have to do some friendly wagers up there, and I don't know. Hopefully, you'll see some of those guys on stage wearing some Georgia gear, some Georgia shirts.
Yes, go for that. Get creative with it. All right. So it's been almost 10 years since you played Daniel on Sweetwater. Anyone been approaching you lately to jump back in front of the camera for acting? Has Trace Adkins called you to be on Monarch or anything like that?
No, I've had things over the years that have come in, different projects, whether it be a movie or, hosting some different shows that might be coming out, different things. And, for me, I'm a musician first. That's what I enjoy doing. One thing I learned from doing that movie early on was, it was cool, but it wasn't something that I was really passionate about like that. I had a lot more fun and still do when I'm out on stage playing my shows, doing my songs.
Right.
That's where I'm the most comfortable. That's what I feel like, I'm meant to do. And I don't know. I mean, if I always say, if the right thing comes along and it's something I'm interested in that I feel like could be cool, then I would be down to do something else. But, that I haven't really found that thing yet. And I'm not really actively looking for it either. Right. I'm very content, right, being a musician, playing my shows. So we'll see what happens.
And that's so true to you. I mean, it took you forever to get your wife to come out of your shell to be on Instagram and up your game on social media. So I mean, I get that you're a musician first, and the rest will come later, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of always been a pretty private guy too. So sure. I think it was kind of meeting my wife. She was like, man, if people want to see these different sides of what you do. And, I was just kind of always, social media was kind of took a backseat to everything else. It's I'm a musician. I play shows. That's what I do. And it took me a while to catch up on the social media game, and I'm still not as active on there as a lot of people, but I'm more so now than I was before, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, one final question before I let you go. The one thing you are passionate about right now that has absolutely nothing to do with your career, what is it?
I think I'm passionate now that has nothing to do with my career. I think being a parent.
Okay.
I think really it's just being a parent, raising my kids, and I don't know. I feel like the world we live in is pretty wild and kind of like the Wild West these days. And so I feel like as parents, it's our job to, kind of protect them and teach them, what's right, what's wrong. And, that's a pretty tall order these days. So to me, that's other than being a musician and, being a parent is up there for sure.
Right on. I love that answer. All right. Jason Aldean, the 29th of this month, Intrust Bank Arena. Tickets still available. It's the Rock and Roll Cowboy Tour. Chase Rice, John Morgan, DJ Silver. I'm going to be up there before Jason, and don't forget to go to KFDI.com to find out how you can win that great VIP package that you were kind enough to offer up to our listeners who are pretty excited about that, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, sounds great, man. I appreciate you having me.